Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, warning, don't feed the bears. Who are the bears? Well, we're going to find out. Um, I was reading my local paper this week, and an article by columnist Heather Knight, who I have nicknamed Home Run Heather because of something she said, um, something she wrote about the Board of Supervisors' silly legislation proposals that I thought was on the mark. Um, I read her often, and this particular article, she didn't hit a home run. In fact, it wasn't good. I'm going to keep her with the nickname because she's more right than wrong. However, in reading this article, it was about blaming judges' lenient sentences here in San Francisco for uh, the auto break ins and repeat offenders. It starts out everybody deserves a second chance and maybe even a third. But she had mentioned this one case where she put all her eggs in this basket where a San Francisco Superior Court judge gave this guy on his 11th chance. He has done serious crimes, including this auto break in thief, including uh, trying to run down the police in an attempt to get away, which he did get away for a bit. Anyway, she was talking about how this judge kept giving this one individual a chance after chance after chance. And he's coming up for sentencing mm, later this month or early next month, something like that. And based on what's going on, he may end up walking with only probation as his uh, sentence. Now, I understand that there's an awful lot of things that we like to blame this person for and that person for. In reading the comment section of this article, some were talking about the fact that the particular judge in question used to be a public defender here in San Francisco. And so they're saying that there's no way in the world that if you're going to have a former public defender as a judge, he's going to take crime seriously. Well, I don't buy that. I do believe that there are some who are weaker than others, but there are some judges who are so harsh. Uh, I only see racism there. So if you'll have a liberal judge and a conservative judge doing all of the sentencing, solution, warning, do not feed the bears. Now, when I say do not feed the bears, I have to say that I went to Yosemite maybe 15 years ago, and I'm telling you, of all that beauty, the one sign that I saw that said, warning, do not feed the bears, how many times do I need to see that type of a sign for me to get the message? Now, Warning, bears spotted in the area. Bears are rather uh, aggressive. When they see food, yeah, they'll rip apart just to get in. You see this photograph on the left, this bear is at this Volkswagen store. Now, I've seen video of where people are driving by in, I think, Yellowstone, and a bear comes up to this car door, and the passenger in the car didn't lock his door. So the bear grabbed a hold to it and opened the door. I mean, that's sure scary. But in this situation, this is a parked car in some park somewhere. The bear knows what to do. The bear is looking for some food. And, of course, they're going to find it one way or another. They've broken into cars and had the devil of a time getting out of cars to where, hey, bears are hungry. And like bears, I say, so are San Francisco thieves. Prevent theft. Remove valuables. Lock your car. Now, a bear can't read a sign like this, but some San Francisco bears, see that bear? Let's see what happens when he's finished. See that bear? My point is, we feed the bears by not getting the message. And by not getting the message, now we're going to start blaming judges. I don't get that. Now, I do not believe prosecuting somebody and sending them away for a long time is the answer to crime prevention. I don't believe slapping people on the wrist is the answer to crime prevention. I do not believe one size fits all. The police think we want to catch these guys. Well, that is a statement by one San Francisco police officer who's fed up with, all of the calls that the SFPD gets when dealing with auto break-ins. And I've seen more than my share of auto break-ins. And it happens so fast, before you can blink an eye, they're down the street and you can't call the police. And I've seen the heartbreaking scenes of people returning to their cars and realizing all their valuables are taken. And I mean, some of them are in a panic. Some, hey, they just got lucky and the person only got a broken window out of the issue because nothing was in the car to steal. Now, I have to tell this embarrassing story. I'm parked by Foodsco. I just came from someplace this is a hot day, but I just wanted to have a hot dog. Well, knowing me, I had 2 hot dogs. Well, on this hot day, I am parked on, not Foodsco, it's a Costco, sorry. And my window was all the way rolled down. I just scarfed on two pretty good sized hot dogs. And Alan gets drowsy. Well, in my vehicle, I have a magnet that's on my dash. Excuse me. I have a magnet that's on my dash and a magnet that's on my steering wheel. And what it does is it holds my phone when I'm, just reading, sitting and reading. No, not driving and reading. And so this hot day, where I scarfed down these two hot dogs, I had dozed off with my $900 Samsung S Plus phone on my steering wheel. And apparently I must have been knocked out because somebody reached in and grabbed my phone. I didn't even wake up. I was out. And they were long gone before I woke up. And it was just a typical, you ate something too much and then you just immediately was drowsy, and I took a quick nap and somebody took a quick snatch. And it was my own fault. And I'm out this $900 brand new phone. Only had it 30 days. Oh, I love the phone. And so I had all of the uh, hookup to trace it, but no, it's gone. I'm not going to go into the why I didn't hunt it down or get a police officer to, hey, it was my own stupid fault, or just the fact that I don't think that it's safe to even doze off with a window rolled all the way down. If the window was rolled up, there's no way in the world they would have been able to get in there, because my door is always locked. So, hey, I learned. But the fact of the matter is, we tend to blame others when we are lax. How many times are we going to have to post signs saying, do not feed the bears, for us to be a victim of certain theft? It's a warning that I say we need to really look at from a not blaming judges or even the perpetrators of these crimes, because it's obvious they're desperate. And sure, this person has got desperation written all over him. And I'm sure he's been caught. If you notice the Volkswagen that he's getting back into, notice the uh, license plate below the emblem where you can't, it's blacked out. Well, that's part of the scheme, the scam. You ride around, uh, put something over the license plate, both front and back, so you're not easily detected, and you cruise around looking for vulnerable vehicles. In this case, it happened to be a rental van where somebody ended up losing a passport and a lot of other gear and a few $100s. But the fact that we need to get smarter is my point. And how do we get smarter? Number one, in this particular article, we're talking about holding these judges accountable. Well, please, you had a chance to do that. In the June 2018 election, four uh, challengers to sitting judges were challenging their position on the bench. All four lost after they had said something's wrong with the San Francisco Superior Court judges. We need to change things. No matter how much they cried foul, and I didn't like their strategy, they used racism, but they did it from a political standpoint. They talked about Republicans, Democrats, and stuff like that. And though there's obvious racism, they used the wrong strategy. They refused to hit hard when they could have nailed San Francisco for its leniency. This particular individual, not the one that I showing in the picture there, but the article was about a young man by the name of Patton who 11 convictions. Well, why didn't they use that? That's a story that's been going on. This guy's been doing it for years. And they could have used that as evidence that something needs to change. Well, why is this article coming out in August when the election was in June? Because the San Francisco Chronicle, they supported the four incumbent judges. Well, you can't get people to change what they're doing if you're hiding the evidence that would cause them to rise up and change, make change happen. And so for the Chronicle to be crying about lenient judges when they are saying that the four judges that they wanted to replace were impeccable judges and they should remain on the bench. Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. There either needs to be a change or status quo. And the San Francisco Chronicle went with the status quo, and the result of the status quo is this repeat auto burglar or smash and grab burglar may end up walking but they don't do it again type sentence. They're thinking of putting an ankle bracelet on this particular individual. My goodness. When will we learn? We need to not feed the bears. Now, when I say we need to not feed the bears, is San Francisco needs to do a better job at educating people on remembering to keep their valuables out of easy grab situations. Now, how about San Francisco make sure that every rental car in San Francisco has some bold statements of warning for all of the people who rent cars here. San Francisco has a ton of car rentals, and most of the thieves are going after car rentals. So that's a good place to start. But there's a lot of other places where common sense is not being used. Now, when an officer says, we want to catch these guys, consider this. There are 2,000 San Francisco police officers. Last year, there were 30,000 auto burglaries, break ins. How are 2,000 police officers who have other things more important to do going to stop 30,000 auto break ins? And I understand that we're always going to have numbers, but you're not even going to make a dent in situations like that. One of the earlier articles on this subject in the Chronicle that I read a few months ago was a kid who had just received chemotherapy here in San Francisco. When they came back to their vehicle and found all their belongings taken, the kid wanted to go to the airport immediately. Why? Because a little teddy bear that was given to this chemotherapy child patient was taken. Now, sure, that's heartbreaking. You don't steal from a little kid, you know. But the fact is, we all set the stage when we just think that, hey, it's beautiful San Francisco, everything. You don't have to learn the hard way. When you look at the fact that a situation like beautiful San Francisco, Lombard Street is famous for stuff like this. And you see all of the beauty San Francisco and out by the beach and stuff, and then you have to deal with this. It is hard. But if we use our heads, we won't be so much victims. And we surely can't be blaming judges because when you really look at it, putting the person away for a long time is not the solution. It's not. Sure, it may make you feel better, but I have a story to tell you. Now, I'm going to slightly get off subject, but it's basically to illustrate a point. This week, you've heard of the ghost ship fire? Well, 35, I believe, 37 people lost their lives in this ugly Oakland fire. Well, during the sentencing, where people are saying that the sentencing was too lenient, there's a impact statement where the victim's family get to address the perpetrators of this crime and tell them what harm they have done and how they have ruined their lives. And they go on and on and on and on and on. And as many victims as, I don't know how many, they have a situation where they are telling these heart wrenching stories. Now, this person who is the perpetrators of these crimes, if they are really um, the ones who did it, meaning they're 100% guilty, what are they going to do with remorse in prison? And so I'm saying that we're doing this backwards. 100 maybe years ago, there was this woman who was known as the Peace Pilgrim. I don't remember her name, but she was from some African tribe. And they had a very, very low crime rate. People didn't steal there. And the reason why is when they got a person who had committed a crime, they would set the person in a center, and all of the person's loved ones would be around. And all they would be able to do is talk about what good that person in the center has to offer. And so these individuals do not want to be in a situation where they're in a center and all their loved ones are around them, not speaking about how bad they are, but how good and how much they're worth. And it has affected, back then, people committing crimes. Because I'm telling you, I don't want to be surrounded by a bunch of people in a criminal situation where the only thing they're going to be able to do is talk about how good and what good qualities I have. And I'm saying instead of us using exclusively impact statements where the victims are railing on the perpetrators, all of the evil and how bad they are and what they've done to ruin their these people's lives, I'm saying we need to experiment uh, from what the Peace Pilgrim did in her form of justice in this little old village in Africa somewhere. There's a book by the Peace Pilgrim, and there's probably several different Peace Pilgrims, but there's a book of her work. It's 56 years old that I'm sure is in some library somewhere. But the fact that, eh, sure, it might be just reverse psychology, but the fact that we know what's not working. Harsh sentences aren't working, and lenient sentences aren't working. So, I'm saying that we need to come up with something else to where we're not feeding the bears. And the only way we can do it is consider this. In my years as a Bible study teacher up at the San Francisco Juvenile Hall, one of the great lessons that I learned was you can't outslick criminals, but you can outsmart them. And by outsmarting them, I'm suggesting that San Francisco would find a way to where we can institute something along the lines of what the Peace Pilgrim has suggested by getting people together to say nothing but the good about these particular individuals and see how far that goes. Because I'm telling you, ankle bracelets, harsh penalties, and lenient penalties are not the answer. And if you're going to not feed the bears, you're going to have to get smart about it. You don't leave your car door open, unlocked, for bears to get in. And you don't leave your car filled with items that just a little old device can break open the window and bears uh, break in and take it out. And I'm talking about the human bears, the auto smash and grabs. I think we just need to be smarter. And that's what I'm saying by please don't feed the bears. It's a common sense issue. So until next time, God bless and don't feed the bears.